there, Eli here for Ancestral Recall. Just checking in to let you guys know. I have moved to my new apartment, only a block and a half in West Philly, but hauling over milk crates and boxes was serious stuff. So, what's up? New things! That's right. Really important to talk about new things. After all, I've got a new hat. We're talking about a classic Kangol at the thrift shop, $3. Also, a new fitted cap. This is a fitted cap. This is a beret. This is not like anything I've worn on camera before. This is a fitted cap. And, of course, my classic, which I do still prefer. But yeah, it's a little floppy. Not quite as firm as this one, but yeah, this is also a fitted cap. So, yeah, just want to close on that. You actually think I was serious there? No. What I want to talk about just very quickly is they're reprinting Onslaught fetches in Khans of Tarkir. That's actually really awesome. Onslaught fetches are going to be, I'm going to say $15, $20 once they come out. I feel like fewer people have retained them than the original Rav fetches, and they kind of got swept up by the legacy and vintage players. So yeah, having them out there it's pretty exciting. I'm going to try to pick up 3 to 4 boxes of Khans, which I feel like that's going to give me play sets of pretty much everything I need for Standard. So that's exciting. I personally am really excited about the switching over next year to the 2-set blocks. Why? Because I'll tell you guys how I usually buy my Magic cards. I buy my Magic cards from my local gaming store. I buy boxes, sealed boxes, and they sell them for $100. I know I can go online and get them cheaper, but I believe it's important to just, send them some money so that they can keep operating. Because really, that's when I buy my cards. I sometimes do booster drafts, and maybe paper drafts maybe once a month. I do Moto drafts. Well, I'm trying to cut down on my Moto right now, but I was normally doing, 8, 10 drafts a month. So yeah, I usually buy 3 or 4 sealed boxes of large sets, of the fall set, and then 2 to 3 boxes of the second set and third set. When it comes to core sets are a real pain for me because I really don't enjoy drafting core sets. I feel like the experience is pretty much the same every time. So it's not particularly enjoyable for me. So sometimes I buy 1, occasionally I buy 2 of core set boxes, although I really resent having to do it just because I don't really think they're all that enjoyable to draft. So they're the cards I'm usually trading for the most over the year. Yeah. So anyway, that would average out to, not counting things like Commander decks or other casual releases such as Conspiracy. I bought a box of Conspiracy. Just counting stuff for Standard, I buy about 11 Standard boxes a year. And I see myself buying the same amount of large sets. So now, instead of buying 4 boxes of one large set and 1 or 2 boxes of the second large set, I'm now going to be able to buy, either 4 or 3 of both, because I actually do want to spend money on brand new large sets. I am not interested in buying core sets. And getting rid of the core sets, I think, is a fantastic thing. How are they going to be able to create games for newer players within Standard? That's a good question. I think that M16 is, first of all, it's not going to be called M16. I think it's going to be called, that's going to be our Magic Origins. It's going to be our last core set, and it is going to have some really awesome stuff with it. That name Origins tells me that they're going to be digging into the old school for it. So maybe we might see something like, well, we might see a very, very few exceptions to the reserved list. I think that we should see Juzum Jin again. I would love to see a new bordered Juzum Jin. I don't think we're going to see Moxen. Moxen is ridiculous. You're not going to see Moxen in anything touching Standard because Moxen totally just make the mana system turn over, cough, gasp, wheeze. and get sick. But yeah, so that's something that I'm looking at buying, another box, maybe 2. And that way I have almost everything for standard. And that's 12 to 14 boxes as opposed to 10 or 11 boxes. Yeah, that's a bit more. But you know what? Yes, the longevity of fall sets is going down slightly, but the longevity of the second set and third set is effectively going up. So I feel that's a little more balanced. Although, really, third set, it's kind of irrelevant. It'll be... I don't know how to describe this. Anyway, so that's exciting. Fetch lands. Yeah. The Onslaught fetches are coming back. That's going to cut down on the Zendikar fetch prices, and it's going to make Modern more accessible for more people. I was reading my Facebook page, and a bunch of Japanese judges are saying, wow, this is really going to add length to games because of all the shuffling that people are doing. It's a fair comment. That's the problem with the fetches. They just add duration to the game. I mean, when you're playing Zendikar Standard, you might get, 3 or 4 minutes of extra gameplay, which is nothing much happening other than resolving shuffles. Not particularly fun. But we have other fetch lands in the format. We had Terramorphic Expanse. That's something that has been around in Standard, pretty much more or less the whole time. Rampant Growths. So I don't see it as being that big of a deal. But when you have fetches plus shocks, that's a real decision. Are you going to pay 3 life to get a proper duel into play untapped, or are you going to pay 1 to fetch it out tapped? That's a tough question, and when it comes up, players need to pause and consider what's going on. So that takes a lot of time, and that's what you see in Modern. When we're talking about Standard, when they're only getting basics, yeah, there is still a little bit of decision-making involved, but it's not nearly as complex. So I think it's no big deal. So anyway, judges, I know how you feel, but I think that we just need to break our little paradigm of thinking and get focused on just the basics. I think it's no big deal. Everything else in Khans, Raid is pretty exciting. Bloodthirst is kind of cool. I remember an original Gruul, and then when they brought it back to the core set, which it did really nothing there. But Gruul was an interesting situation. So yeah, instead of dealing damage, now it's just something had to attack. That's pretty saucy. I feel like regenerating guys, if you can get something cheap in those colors, it's going to be good. Delve. Delve is a risky mechanic. You need to find ways to get cards to the yard if you really want to abuse it. So this is going to be a 2-tier mechanic. Is there going to be fuel to make Delve better? Well, I don't know. But yeah, the exiling stuff means that there's probably going to be a bunch of good reanimation spells, so that puts a little extra tension into the mechanic. So, Raid's interesting. Outlast, it's an interesting version of Level Up. I'm not too excited about it. I want to see how it goes. But, yeah, we've seen the common 1-drop. 1/2, that's a pretty spicy 1-drop. That it can get bigger. But when I look at that card, what I see? I want to look at Rebels and comparing costs of Rebels to this. Rebels, you're searching cards out of your library, which is kind of valuable. So that's what I feel is a comparable mechanic, and it's fairly exciting, I won't lie. The Morph 2/1 mana guy. So it's 2/1 for 1G, and when it's Morph, and the unmorph cost is 2, and when you unmorph it, then you get the... I have to learn these clan names. It's funny. It's really funny. Kamigawa names are no issue for me because I'm fairly proficient in Nihongo. And I have a pretty good background in linguistics, so For example, I can pronounce Italian passably well. French is pretty good. Spanish I'm not particularly strong at, and I can't really read Russian. So, yeah, doing Russian phonetics doesn't work for me. And Chinese, okay, Chinese is a headache. But, yeah, with Japanese names, I can pronounce them no problem. But the real-world analog for the clans, I'm not sure where to go with those linguistically, so I don't know how to pronounce their names. And I am a linguist by trade. You can call me cunning or not, I don't care. But, yeah, I mean, as a person who works with language, I'm kind of in a quandary. I want to hear how Wizards pronounces them, but just because Wizards pronounces them some way doesn't necessarily mean it's the most reliable way. And in fact, when Wizards prints pronunciation guides, those pronunciation guides, they use, well, they don't use the International Phonetic Alphabet. They use anglicized pseudo phonetics, which doesn't work. It really doesn't work, but unfortunately it's a common thing. So, yeah, that's a thing. I'm just blathering at this point, but anyway, Onslaught fetches are here. Keep calm. Acquire Boxen. That's what I'm telling you. Alright guys, this is Eli for Ancestral Recall, signing off, and have a good evening. Or day, or whatever time it is. This is why Rich Hagon says it the way he does. God, Rich Hagon. I have great admiration for Rich. He and I get along pretty well. And we worked together a little bit, but yeah. When he says, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Yeah, that thing. But I don't want to do it like Rich Hagon, because that ain't me. Alright guys, see you later.